Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to replace the coolant on your second generation SMART ForTwo 451 series microcar. So before we do our coolant service, we actually want to raise the vehicle off the ground, lift it up by the approved jack points as outlined in your owner's manual. In my case, I'm using a quick jack so that I can lift it up evenly both on the front and the back, because we're going to need to access both those areas to get the coolant out of this vehicle. So before we do any work on draining the coolant from our vehicle, make sure that it is cold and not actually hot. So make sure you haven't driven it for several hours or preferably for a day. The first thing we're going to do is open up the hood by popping out these little release tabs. Then opening up the bonnet and then opening up the radiator reserve tank right there to let air into the system. So always open it slowly just in case it's pressurized. In this case, because the engine's cold, there's nothing. On the bottom side of the vehicle, we have this under belly pan, and that can be removed by undoing the screw on each side here. And it's a 10 millimeter headed bolt. So we're just gonna take our little tool here and undo it. Okay, so there's one, and then the driver's side there's one. This belly pan cover, you just pop it out. There's a couple tabs right here, and you can just pop those out from these retaining clips on the front bumper lip, which then exposes the radiator hose right here. All right, so to get this clamp off, you can either use a pair of side cutting pliers, or in my case, I'm gonna use a thin bladed screwdriver. I'm just gonna put it into this little slot here and sort of pry at it to stretch it back out like this. You see, it's just a little pinch style clamp applied at the factory. And this is what that clamp looks like once you kind of pry it apart and it breaks. Managed to crack that off, and the coolant is draining into my container. Okay, everything drained out, making sure that we double check our water outlet to make sure that there's no damage. And then we're just going to use a hose clamp here and firmly attach it. Don't over tighten it, but just snug it up so that you're not going to get any leaks. Okay, so moving on to the underside of the motor, passenger side rear. Here's the oil filter. Here is one of the sensors on the block, so we're just going to push against this tab and carefully unplug it. Likewise, this connector here, we're going to, again, carefully push down on this little metal tab and then just wiggle the connector loose, making sure that you don't break anything off, because we need to access this little plug right here using a hex-headed metric hex anyways, socket to get this out, because that's the engine block coolant drain plug right in here. Now once you unplug these, I really recommend that you cover these in a baggie or tape, because I've read online previously that any coolant that gets in here is really bad for these sensors apparently, and you got to replace them. So this is what I've done. Just put some painter's tape over the connector ends, making sure that anything that spills out is not going to get in these connectors. And I even tape those ends and tuck them up above the back axle here just to be sure. This is a 6mm hex plug. Okay, there she is, guys, draining away. This is the coolant that was taken out of the car. It's still blue, but it definitely had a bit of residue on the plug. Not that that means anything, but 17-year-old coolant. I'd be genuinely curious to know what the pH content is of this. I might just save it and test it. I've put a new crush washer on to the drain bolt here, and I actually used a fiber gasket because the dealership, weirdly enough, don't stock these crush washers that small. So I went to a parts store and they didn't have an aluminum one, and you can't use a copper one because of galvanic corrosion potential. So I used a fabric one, or like a synthetic fiber one, whatever it is. Tightened it down to 12 Newton meters, or about 8.8 foot-pounds. Made sure I used compressed air, and I blew out these connectors because there's a tiny bit of moisture in them. So dried those all up, blew it all out, reconnect everything nice and firm, gave them a wiggle to make sure that they're seated properly. We're gonna tuck this cover back up, making sure that we line up these tabs here, you know, onto our cover, and then securing those 2 screws on the side. All right, with a clean funnel, we're gonna start pouring our European vehicle Mercedes approved coolant. Now, I bought this stuff at our local auto parts store because it's quite a bit cheaper than buying the stuff from Mercedes for the same exact spec coolant. We're just gonna keep filling it, okay, until you see it says max. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to then pop off the little hose on the back, or on the top side, I should say, of the cylinder head to purge out the block and head. Okay, so the engine cover cracked open. We have to pull off the highest point on the cooling circuit here. And so there's the air cleaner box, and then here's that little opening, the cylinder head, and it's this hose right here. Now, one of the ways you can get down to that hose a little bit easier is that you can actually slide off this little solenoid right here off of this bracket by pushing on that tab and just pulling up that way. So here's a quick service tip, guys. Because this clamp on my hose is so hard to get off, I decided to just pull this one off because it's easier. So it's just the other end. Okay, so you see, steady stream, both ends, right? So I'm gonna attach it, and that's been trickling for a good while. So I'm gonna attach that back, I'm gonna reattach that clamp, and we're gonna fire up the car and then let it warm up. Okay, so air bubbles removed. We're gonna fill this up. Okay, here we go. Okay, AC off, maximum heat, maximum fan. So right when I started the car, the coolant level dropped again. So I'm gonna go back and purge that hose one more time just to make sure that there's no bubbles. With the engine still running, refill the coolant reservoir tank to the max line. Okay, so with the car running for about 5 minutes, I'm just gonna undo that clamp one more time and I'll pull that hose off just to make sure that there's no bubbles in this waterway, because that's really bad. That is a step that you cannot skip, because that will literally destroy your engine if you have an airlock in the cylinder head. Okay, here we go. Now, always wear safety glasses too when you're doing this, guys. See, there's no fluid. Okay, see how that's coming out now, out of both ends. So then quickly slide that back on. And you heard it burp too. So after doing the second purge, we want to take our coolant and fill our reservoir back up to the max line. Okay, I'm going to screw this cap on nice and firm. And we're going to start up the car, turn the heater on max heat and max fan. One of the telltale signs that you know it's flowing is that coolant hose right here, that's burning hot, meaning that there's a lot of hot coolant flowing through that, which is good, right? You need that to be extremely hot. Like, you can't even touch it because it's so hot. The other telltale sign is that the heater and the air coming out of it is extremely warm, which means that coolant is flowing through the heater core. Again, running the vehicle, for a solid while there at 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, heat in that pipe, temperature is not overheating, and heat at the heater, levels at maximum, and there's a ton of hot air coming out, which means that coolant is circulating properly in the system. So earlier in the video, I mentioned that I had an OBD2 enabled scan gauge that I'd plug into the port of the car so that I could see this temperature data. And the reason why I think every car enthusiast or DIY mechanic should own one of these is because you get to see important information like this that the ECU is seeing on the car, because on the second gen SMART 451s, there is no temperature gauge. So the only time you know there's something wrong with the engine is an idiot light will eventually show up on the dash. But by the time that illuminates, you've already done the damage to the car. And so throughout the coolant sort of purging process, and running the engine in the garage and then purging it again, I've always paid attention to this temperature gauge to make sure that it never blew past, say, around, you know, the high 90s. As it was running up, the coolant's all filled up, I ran it at 2,500 RPM, and this gauge eventually creeped up to around 94, 95 degrees, and it stayed there, and I just kept the RPMs up, and eventually the thermostat opened up, and you knew, because all of a sudden the gauge dropped down into the 70s, which now means that it's mixing with the cooler coolant that wasn't moving in the circuit. And then I just kept that idle up, and eventually the temperature moved back up into the high 80s, low 90s. So you guys can see from my video that changing coolant on your second generation smart car is neither difficult nor very time consuming, and can be done with some very basic hand tools. You just got to get it off the ground and secure it properly, and making sure that you follow that proper bleeding procedure. If you guys found this video useful and informative, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching.